So today, I want to speak on why you do not want to move your Filipina to the United States. Basically, if you're an extreme age gap type of relationship where you're not, you're over 10 years or you're anything where you're kind of out of your regular age group and you're not, like an 8-year age gap or something, or you're not a dashingly handsome, wealthy man, it's just probably not a good idea for you. So probably be an unpopular, vlog, but I gotta deliver this one just like yesterday's and the ones the last couple days. I'm just gonna give you guys the reality for stuff like that. A lot of people are planning that stuff, and basically, it's just not a good look for you if you're an extreme age gap. I had a comment today from a guy that is one of my viewers, and he said, definitely don't move into the United States or the West in general. Basically, I moved mine, and she got a boyfriend within a few months, which is really, really like a normal. Maybe it wouldn't be a few months, but a few years. If you're like a guy, what you got to understand is you have a raised value in the Philippines. If you're a 5, you're a strong 7 out here. If you're a 7, you're a strong 9. If you're a whatever you are, your value's way up in the Philippines. If you got no shot and you're a 3, you're a strong 5, 6 out here. So whatever you are, your value is just so much higher in this beautiful country. So you got to keep that in mind when you get here and realize that you may not have the frame or the wealth or the looks to hold a woman that gets Americanized. What's going to happen a lot of times is someone's going to basically get sort of Americanized. Like a girl will start out good, and then if you're like an extreme difference in age from that human being, and you say you get your Panay out there and she gets a job, and she's meeting other Filipinas in the community, which is what's going to happen. They are going to say, oh my God, who's your boyfriend? Wow, you have a boyfriend, you have a husband? I mean, you're going to have it's going to have to be a husband in order to, obviously, for this to happen, because you have to get them to the United States. So they're going to go, oh my God, let's see your husband. And then if they show a picture of sort of a sloppy guy that doesn't take care of himself, or a 35-year age gap or something, they're going to be heavily influenced by those people. You also have to understand that at their work, there's going to be handsome young foreigners that are wealthy, handsome young Filipino guys and stuff like that. And you're just going to end up in a situation where, exactly like my commenter said, she's going to get a boyfriend, within a few months or a few years or something, and grandpa's going to get left behind. That's just the honest truth of how it's going to end up going for you. And you may think, no, not me, mine's different and this and that. And if you are a guy, like I can point to a vlogger that I'm a huge fan of, It's Me. Him and his Filipina moved to the United States together, from what I understand, for a couple years. But you have to understand that his Filipina is like 32 years old and he's like 40, and he's in good shape. So there are if you're like within 10 years or something, yeah, you can be okay. You can totally do that. But if you're not, you kind of can't. And what you have to understand is that your value is just so much different in the United States than it's going to be in a Philippines or any type of Southeast Asian country. And you'll start to be full of yourself and think that you are, really like a top-notch guy. Like another example I can give to you is going to be a Paul from Paul's Asian Adventure, who no longer vlogs, but he used to be a big red pill guy. And he said, don't get married, keep your power, don't marry the ladies. And, he was a big red pill guy, essentially. You guys know what that is. So he's like kind of a short guy with gray hair who's just like a regular guy in his 50s. It's probably about 5'7" or something. Forgive me, Paul, if you're 5'10" or 11 or something. But yeah, he was like kind of a shorter guy in the US, and he had gray hair. And, Old Dog and them were calling him the handsome guy. And I think maybe he dated a beautiful woman named Mia, who still does the vlogs and stuff. She's doing great. Congratulations to her. And he went back to the United States after dumping a very attractive woman named Mia, who's a vlogger that you guys are probably familiar with. And what happened was he immediately doubled back and essentially threw away his entire red pill monologue and proposed to marry a woman that he had broken up with several times and had a lot of problems with her. And you know, it's just kind of like a weird thing. Like, he went to the United States and realized that he's a 5'7" guy with gray hair, and like that it was just, there wasn't really a lot to go on there, and that, you know, essentially the Philippines raises your value tremendously high from what you really are in a Western country. So that is the same thing that you need to take into consideration when you're bringing your new wife to America, that essentially is going to want to upgrade immediately, like my viewer, and just get a boyfriend within a few months, whether it takes a few years, whether it takes you know, her Filipina friend's influence. You're setting yourself up for disaster unless you're worth $100 million, or you live in the gym, or you are, you know, a chiseled young Leonardo DiCaprio or something. So that's just basically the honest truth. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. And the best thing to do is to stay in the Philippines and, you know, be realistic about your value and stuff. And if you're in the Philippines, you'll be fine because you have that raised value. You're a superstar here. You are definitely not a star in a Western country. Your value is going to be so much lower, and you probably would not have the frame to hold that woman, sadly. So you just need to be realistic about your value and what it is and what it isn't, and just stay in the Philippines and enjoy the fact that you're a superstar out here. But the second that you bring a girl back to a Western country and she starts to get quote unquote Americanized, your chances of survival, if you're like a 20-year plus age gap or a 20-year age gap, and you're not wealthy by American standards, you're only wealthy by Philippine standards, and unless you keep her locked up in the house and she makes no friends, gets no job, and it's not exposed to any young chads or anything, your chances of survival are extremely low. And it might take 20 years, it might take 2 months like my viewer. You basically need to be careful of what you do in that sense, because guys will start to get a big head, like Paul from Paul's Asian Adventure, and then they will come back home and that will all come crashing down, and they will realize that they're an average short guy with gray hair. They're not a big Chad, you know, because a bunch of 75-year-olds in Dumaguete were calling you a Chad. You're not a Chad at all. You're a regular dude. You're like basically an average Joe in America, and yet Philippines will give you that superstar feeling. And whatever your metric was, if you're the fat, I mean, I see so many couples where I'm staying that you can tell it's the first time they ever met. There's a lot of Airbnbs there, and the guy will be 350 pounds and be completely socially awkward, and he is with the most gorgeous spinner Panay you've ever seen in your life. And then you will see, you know, the older guy that's 70 years old with the most gorgeous Panay you've ever seen in your life. And a lot of these guys, I'll hear them, because it's a long ride up to the penthouse, and I'll hear them talking about, you know, the guy's already talking about bringing her cat over for 3,000 American dollars and talking about his vehicle and stuff. And you can tell these people have never slept together. They just met at the Airbnb, and he's way out of his depth, and he's already making plans to bring this woman back to the United States. As soon as this woman gets back to the United States, gets her green card, gets stable, gets a job where she's making 2 days pay in 1 hour if her job happens to be at McDonald's, and she gets on her feet and is essentially wealthy by Philippine standards, she's gonna drop your ass like a dirty napkin for a hot young Filipino dude or a hot young foreigner, for the most part, unless you're like an under 10-year age gap, or you are like a handsome Chad, like an It's Me type of dude. That's just the reality, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news on this one again, but I'm just going to give you guys the real on this channel. I don't care if I lose subscribers or if people want to disagree with me in the comments. These are all facts. Your best bet is to stay in the beautiful Philippines and enjoy your raised value and enjoy yourself and enjoy the good prices and all that. And don't get ahead of yourself with the whole bringing your lady to your home country. This isn't just for America. This is for Canada, Europe, anywhere that has that, you know, Western pay structure and that whole Western mindset. So like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and sana all for a while.